Hello, this is Matthew Robert Payne, and this is a message of God. This is a message in a playlist called God's Last Days Message to His Children. This is book number 3, and book number 2 is about 2 weeks away, and book number 1 is out at the moment on Amazon, God's Last Days Message to His Children, Volume 1. And there's going to be 7 volumes in this series. So it's pretty comprehensive. This is his latest message. Tulu is going to say the question, then God's going to speak for a while, and then God will ask Tulu for some feedback and commentary. And then perhaps Tulu will ask God some more questions, or perhaps God will ask Tulu some questions. So it's sort of getting mixed up a little bit these days. So Tulu, what's the question? And we'll see what God has to say.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Hello, Father. So the question is number 16, which is, why is it important to think kindly and well of others rather than elevating oneself?
Well, kindness is something that's always come naturally to Matthew. It's been an established part of who he is, and so he can't really suggest to people how you become kind, because it's just something that's always been innate in his character. But it is listed as the fruit of the Spirit, which means you can develop it and get it through the Holy Spirit. But um, also, kindness exists in the world. People who are not Christians can be really kind. And Matthew is even hesitant about calling anyone a non-Christian anymore, because it seems that people who don't go to church seem kinder and more loving than people that go to church. People that go to church seem to be uptight and judgmental and rude, and though they may say they're loving, they can certainly turn on you when you say something that contradicts what they say, like saying that you don't have to say a sinner's prayer to go to heaven would cause like fingernails to come out in some people. So there's a lot of kind people in the world. Do you find that, Tulu, with people that you meet?
I find it naturally that people that have never stepped into church are so loving, so understanding. And sometimes I'm always thinking, is there something that we are indoctrinated with in the church? Maybe we become so religious that we forget about what it is to be kind. But people that have been kind to me, that have been loving to me, in most situations, they are strangers. They are people that do not go to church, or people of other religion. I've noticed, even surprisingly, a lot of Muslims are really kind. So I don't know, maybe it's something that is related to Christianity, the way we're being taught, or we just feel we're better off. Or if people don't do it our way, then we're not willing to accept them either way. It's just like coming back to the gay issue, Father. A lot of Christians that have got children that are gay, they struggle, they can't be kind to, they find it difficult to be kind to them because they feel they are doing something that goes against the Lord. And probably before, I would say they are right to treat them wherever way they want to. But looking at it now, you are even supposed to be more kinder to people when they are in that situation. Even when they're sinning, you should be more loving to them, because that's the only way you can attract them to your God.
Yeah. Matthew just saw a Facebook post and posted it on his Facebook, and it speaks to the subject a little bit. It said, a Holy Ghost filled man was stoned in the book of Acts, not by the drinkers, the prostitutes, the New Agers, gays, or demon possessed.
Wow.
It's just
Wow.
a go at religious people that it's the religious that stoned Stephen, and
Oh, wow.
and it wasn't the sinners. And uh, you may find if you're open to finding this, if you're not closed-minded, if your eyes have been opened, if your heart has been opened, you may find that people who don't go to church and don't confess to be Christians, uh, or don't want to confess they're Christians. They probably confess that they believe Jesus died for their sins, and they believe Jesus died on the cross for their sins, and they probably pray to God every night, but they don't want to go to your church, and they don't call themselves Christian, call themselves
Yeah.
spiritual. You may
Yes.
find that they're a lot kinder than even yourself. You may find that they've got this outgoing kindness about themselves. So people are encouraged to love other people, and it's listed as one of the fruits of the Spirit in Galatians: kindness, goodness, self-control,
Mm.
love, joy, peace, patience, uh, and when you're kind, you'll be patient with people. When you're kind, you'll be loving. So all the fruits sort of meld in together. They all work and work alongside each other. So
No, Father, I've just went out this morning and in the bus because I took a public transport. I was reading the interview that we did with Sado, and just to confirm what you've just said, in this interview, he said Christian didn't hurt me with stones and stick, but their words caused deep pain. People I admired and wanted to befriend broke my heart, which is worse, a physical blow or someone call is worse than a physical blow or someone calling you a false prophet from the devil. So this is a prophet saying that Christians ought him more than the people of the world because of their words.
yeah, so people can be really terrible and unjust and unloving and unforgiving and judgmental and rude, and that's not the behavior that I want my people to have. Uh, I it's like having a couple of good cards in poker. Uh,
Mm.
it's like leading with a good card in a game of cards. Leading with kindness is always a good fruit to lead with. And it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. It's something that can be developed and grown. It's something that you should pay attention to and place your focus on. One way to be kind is the rest of the question is not to think of yourself more highly than you are. Um, Kindness shouldn't so much be stepping down to another person, but it can be an act of grace upon another person. But kindness should flow out of your heart naturally. It should come natural to be kind to all sorts of people, kind to the homeless, kind to the poor, kind to business people, millionaires. Uh, there should be no judgment. Of course, there is judgment. You're going to treat a homeless person different than you're going to treat a business person. Um,
Mm.
you're just going to have a different way of talking to them, a different way of associating with them. But we hope we hope that the homeless person and the poor person can feel your love and can feel your acceptance and feel that they're not being judged by you. Judgment's a big thing in this world that you live in is full of people making judgments and making decisions on people, and they make an internal decision, and it affects the way that they treat a person. And some people uh, feel compelled to be kind to certain people depending on how they judge the people. Like if some people treat people that can return the favour in a nice light, but people who are homeless or poor that can't return the favour, they treat differently. They're impartial with their love, and James speaks about that, about a poor man coming into a church and being told to sit up the back, out of the way, and then a rich man coming into the church and being treated like royalty. And James says that we shouldn't show partiality with our love, but so many people don't hear that message. So many people don't understand that message, and they don't um, play along with that message. Um, so, have you got any comments to say, to Lou?
Yeah, over the years, Father, I've always thought I'm naturally a kind person because growing up, I had a father that was really kind. My father is really, really loving and very kind. Even though he wasn't a church goer, maybe he was a Christian by name, but I wouldn't say he was that kind of person that goes to church. But he was really loving, and I learned a lot from him in terms of how to treat people. He treats everybody the same. So, but from the messages that we've been going through, I've seen that my kindness maybe I've been partial. Maybe I've only been kind to people that were naturally kind to me. I can be kind to a person at the beginning, but if the person hurts me, I step back and I go straight into wanting to just retaliate. Yeah, because I feel like, why did the person hurt me? I was so kind to you and you did this. So over the years, I used to be very I I find it easy to forgive before, but all of a sudden I saw that I was struggling in forgiving or letting go because I feel that the more I open my door, the more people hurt me. And usually because I don't know how to be somebody's friend halfway, half in. I'm that kind of person that if I love you, I love you with my whole heart. And if I don't, I don't. And I will show it. You will know that I either like you or don't like you. So when I go out of my way and open the door of my heart and accept someone in most cases, they've always hurt me back. And it's always very bad for me that I find it hard to come out of it. It might take me months, years sometimes to get over that hurt. So, but looking at what you've been saying now, I could see that there's been situations where I started being kind to only people that were kind to me. And that's not the case. The case is for me to be loving towards everyone, even though people might hurt me, but a lot of times they might not hurt me intentionally. It might be because they are hurting. So these are the things I'm learning to understand and not to judge people based on the way they behave to me, but to see them in a better way, to see them in the way that God sees them, that probably there might be some struggles in their life. So I need to learn to be more kinder to people because it's easy for me to be kind to people that love me. But what about people that maybe they are gay in the past? Probably I will stay away from someone that is gay. I will stay away from someone that has got the belief that don't stand for maybe like a witch. Matthew do like to befriend a lot of witch. Somebody won't tell me that they're a witch and I'll ever be their friend. I would rather run away and say, no, we don't have anything in common. That's what I would do straight away. But I'm learning now to know that God loves everyone and I need to start loving everybody. So I need to be more kind. I need to be better Christian, because like what you said, Father, is true. I've seen a lot of unbelievers that are more kinder than I am. And I'm always thinking they've never stepped into church. So why are they so loving? Why are they so patient their children more than I am? Because sometimes when I see another parent, the way they're so patient with their children, and I'm like, why? Why do I get upset easily? Maybe when my children do something. So I'm learning from people that are not believers. So that's what I'm going to say, that it's a learning for me, that I thought I am a very nice person, and I do tell people that I'm nice, but looking at the way you've been preaching all this while and the discussions and the conversations that we've been having, Father, I just need to be more kind and show more of your love to other people around me without judging them.
Do you feel that you've been brainwashed to think that Christians are better people?
Yes, I've been brainwashed, but I do not believe they're better people in a way. At the beginning, yes, I always believed that Christians are better people because we are the ones going to heaven. But over the years, I don't like being in the midst of Christians. So I feel more comfortable among the unbelievers. So, well, I need to stop using that word. I feel more comfortable around people that are not going to church. And usually when I go to church, I don't really go to church to mix. I only go to church to hear the message, and I'm out because a lot of Christians have hurt me a lot in the past. So for me, I don't feel that Christians are better than people out there, but this is what we are preached, that we are better, but we do not express love, that we don't have a practical way of practicing what we are being taught in church. We just listen and go back to our weekly activities. It's like a routine. You go to church, you come out, you've forgotten what you've learned, then you go into your week. There's no way of you expressing your love. You just go back into your family, your happy life. So that's what I've noticed, but there are some ways that we've been taught not to be kind. For instance, if you're being told that when you meet an homeless person, you're not supposed to help them because by helping them, you are enabling them. You are enabling their bad habits. And knowing that it is none of my business is something new that I've learned, because Jesus could come to me in a form of an homeless person and test me out to see, let me see what Tolu is going to do. So this is things that I'm learning, that you just need to love people which are everywhere. And Christians are not loving. That I could say that majority of the time, and I think it's because of our religious, our self-righteousness that makes us not to be loving, because we think God, you are either yes or no, black or white. You can't be both. And trying to understand that I need to be more understanding. I cannot just look at the Bible as this way or no other route. That there's so many other ways that leads to heaven. It's not just one way. It's not just the salvation prayer that leads to heaven. There's so many things that you can do that can get you to heaven. And looking at human beings that way, that we're not the same. People have experienced different odds in their life. They've grown from a different background, different culture. And when you see people in that perspective, then you love as well in a broader way. You don't love just in a narrow way of what you've been taught. You allow your love to accommodate more people in different ways, and knowing that people are different. I am different. I'm an individual. There are things that I'm good at. There are things I'm not so good at. And everyone will be like that. So I just feel that this messages has taught me to be more accommodative and less judgmental. And even when I'm talking about people now, sometimes I'm asking myself, am I gossiping? Because I don't even want to talk bad about somebody when they're not there, which is something that I would have done naturally before without questioning myself. But these are things I'm learning here. And whatever I'm learning here, I have to be practicing it, because that's the only way I can be a better person.
Do you find do you find personally uh, that people who are unchurched, people that don't go to church, a lot easier to talk to? It's a lot easier to be loving towards them and accepting towards them because you're not having any arguments or you're not having any debates.
It's because they're just more open. They don't see, they're not so narrow-minded. They see everybody as different and they accept you for who you are. So they're very understanding. That's what I've seen because I've got friends that are not Christians and they're always messaging me all the time just to check on me. Tolu, how are you? Can we go out for a lunch? Can we go out for... Yes, I do go out with them, but of recent I've been very busy. So a lot of times I'll catch you guys on the next one outing. But during the outing, I'm so free. I could be myself. They no judging me. So this is something that I feel like yesterday I was speaking to my girls and I was asking Alicia, what do you think? It was not just Alicia, Eliora was here as well. What do you think if mommy pierces her nose? I wanted to see who would put a earring on. That mom, that's fine. That's gonna be cool. I'm like, I wish Christians are like this. If I do tell any Christian, they'll say, are you not? So what do you say you're gonna do? And Alicia was like, Mom, and you can color your hair red as well. And Elera was like, no, mom, you're going too far there. No, 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 no. So, but you can see that they're very open, that they don't see life in a very religious way because they've not been indoctrinated into that environment. I'm trying to take them out and to receive people for who they are because this is something I am learning as an adult and I don't want them to go through that. I want them to see that everybody is different, but you can all be accepted because we are all accepted by God. So I feel free among people that are not church goers or even among other religions like people that may be Buddhist or Sikh or Muslims. You could just be yourself and just open up and discuss anything. Nothing is off table. You could just be open.
Do you find that the more you look into my ways and the more you look into how the church, by and large, seems very religious, would you be encouraged to lead one of your Buddhist friends to Jesus and take him to church, or would would
No,
would you lead one of your Buddhist friends to Jesus and then give him a diet of Matthew's books?
I would just give them, or I would just give them the book that we're just doing now at the moment. That's the best I can do. I will never lead anyone to church, Father. Never. The
Do you
church,
know how? Do you know how? Do you realize how heretical, how full of heresy you sound giving that answer? Don't you feel that there's some nice people in church?
there are some nice people, but it's just what you're being taught. It's like we're not taught it the right way. We're eating, but we're eating lots of junk food. We're not eating the right food. They're not learning what is the right way to know God because people that are teaching you are blind themselves. They don't have the insight. They don't have the revelation. So they're trying their best, unfortunately, but most of the time the best is it's not good enough. So with what I know now, I wouldn't lead somebody into the church. Maybe before, maybe I will, but with what I know now, I'd rather tell the person to, okay, maybe go to the Matthew's website on or a book, Matthew's book account on Amazon, and just look at all of his books, just learn about God. I would even want to emphasize it that God is not about religion. God is just God. It's not linked to religion. I don't know why we linked you to religion. So I don't want to be linked to anything, whether you're Christian or not Christian. You just know who God is and you know how to treat other people and you're loving. So that's my focus now a lot of times. Even I don't even talk about do you want to be born again anymore? Because being born again doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Do you know that would be considered heretical? You're also saying that you don't need to be born again.
Yeah, I will. Maybe sometimes people can call me rebel. I love to be a rebel. So I just love
Heretical, I
to.
mean, I said heretical, not rebel.
Yeah, I know, but that is being rebel, like being saying you just want to go your way. So I love to always be different. So I don't like to go each the way every other person is going.
Have
So I don't mind people saying that.
have you had much experience with people who practice Buddhism?
Yes,
And do you find them very loving?
they are loving. And one of them even said in their temple that no matter how wealthy you are, because Indians are very wealthy, especially in United Kingdom, but when you get to their temple, everybody sits on the floor and you eat together on the floor. So that is a way of bringing everybody down to, yes, we are all the same,
Yeah.
irrespective of who you are. When you get out of the temple, you can go back into your £1,000,000 or whatever house. But in this temple, we all eat together, rich and poor. That goes a long way.
Yeah.
Because in church, sometimes we put people in hierarchy.
Yeah.
Some people have got white chair and then the rest has got black. Why? Why is it? Why do you differentiate it? So all of these things come bringing people back to basic of who we are, whether
And
you're this person.
you can't sit up the front seat in a church.
Well,
Only the pastors and the pastors' wives and the people who are important in the church can sit up on the front seat.
yeah, in most churches, especially in African churches, I think for Africans, they find it as a way of respect that we give a lot of respect to our parents, to our elders, to people we don't know. And then when I'm talking to you, Jesus, so come talking to the Father, then I can call you by name. Whereas I can't call somebody, my elders by name. You have to give them so much respect. Yes, so there's that hierarchy in church in a lot of situations. So you have to sit in certain places based on who you are. And a lot of people fight for that position. I remember me and Ben used to go to a church about maybe 12 or 13 years ago. And in that church, it was a Ghanaian church. And every time we finished the church, people would stay for hours and hours and hours in the church, but just trying to get the favorism of the pastor so that they can be liked, so that they can be given position. And me and Ben, we never got it because I'm like, I'm not looking for a pastor's favorism. I want to be loved by God, not but I don't care about what pastor think of me. I just want to come to church and I'm out. I'm not going to be serving pastor because I want to be his friend or something. So there's so many things that goes on in the church that we permit a lot of flesh in the
You,
church more than the spirit.
you sound like you've had a past of being a bit of a rebel, so it sounds like you're really ready for this new wine that's coming out of my lips.
But Father, I've always been a rebel, you know that. I've always done opposite into growing up. I've never listened. So I've always loved to do whatever I want to do. But when Jesus came into my life and Jesus spoke to me, I was still a rebel because all the things that Jesus is telling me, all my family think I'm crazy or people that know me because I'm doing something opposite to what they think or what they believe. And that's why I didn't have a lot of friends because I noticed that a lot of women that I wanted to have as friends, usually they're always very rude, condescending towards their husband. And I knew that was somebody that when I move with someone, I pick people's attitude easily without them not even teaching me. So if I'm moving with somebody that is so negative, before I know it, I will start doing the same. So because of that, I'm always cutting away from a lot of women that should have been my friend because I knew that they could do it and get away with it, but I couldn't do it and get away with it. So I feel that if you need to serve God, Father, sometimes you have to be a rebel for God because all the things that we're being taught is totally opposite of who you are. So it's either I adhere to those rules or I just say this is the path that God is forming for me and I want to follow it irrespective of what people think or what people say.
You know, when you talked about the Buddhist temple and them all sitting on mats and them all being equal, uh,
Yeah.
Jesus had a parable about the guest that didn't have the wedding garment on, and in
Mm.
the Jewish wedding, that they used to be all given garments when they come to the wedding, so they all looked the same. So the
Mm.
rich and the poor all had the same clothing on, so you couldn't distinguish who was rich and poor. So it was the same thing in the wedding garments, and Jesus put his robe of righteousness on all of the believers. Is his wedding garment. So that's
Mm.
interesting. So have you got any questions for me?
The question is, why do we as human beings, why do we put ourselves over each other? Because when we pass away, we are all going to pass away the same way. You don't come with anything and you don't go back with anything. So why do people think they are much better than other people? Where do we get this hierarchy attitude, the way we react to people, the way we behave, putting ourselves over other people? Where does that stem from? Even especially that exists a lot in the Church of God, which shouldn't be the case. In the church should be a place where everyone should be able to come and feel welcome. You don't need to feel that because you're not dressing nice, because you don't have a car, because you look unkept, you don't want to go to church. So church should be somewhere we should be able to run to, like a safe haven. But it is not so. So where is the issue, Father? What is the issue, rather?
It's just plain old pride. People have pride in themselves and like to be proud of themselves and think of themselves as more important than other people. And so
Mm.
people are consistently comparing themselves to other people. And the Apostle Paul said not to compare yourself to another person, because if you compare yourself to one person and they're better than you won't feel very nice. But if you
Mm.
compare yourself to another person and you're better than them, then you'll be prideful and self righteous. So he said not to compare, but even though the Apostle Paul said not to compare, people do it all the time. They're constantly comparing themselves to others. And that's why you have people buying brand name clothes and running after the world and all its riches, because they're consistently comparing themselves to other people, and other people have got brand new jeans and nice brand name clothes. So they go out and buy some brand new jeans and brand name clothes. And if you see a girl in a nice dress, the other girls will ask, what shop did you get that at? And they'll go to that shop to get a nice dress for themselves. They're not asking her out of curiosity what shop, that they're asking so they can go and get a dress for themselves that will look impressive. So people are always looking to have this one-upmanship. They're always looking to be important. And it's interesting that pride comes from so low self-esteem. People with low
Mm.
self-esteem become really prideful. Someone who's really confident and self-assured, they don't need other people's approval. They don't need other people accepting them. Elon Musk, for instance, he comes up a lot, but he doesn't need people's praise. He's
Mm.
confident in who he is. He doesn't need other people saying he's doing a good job. He made a horrendous decision, like a really bad decision to buy Twitter, but he did it to help mankind, and he spent a lot of money of his own money to make. He took it from a public company to a private company, and he spent a fortune because he wanted to change the world. He had the money, so he wanted. Well, if he asked people's opinions, they wouldn't have said for him to do it. Um, and people are just so swayed. The flesh in people is just so swayed by people's opinions. People are consistently putting themselves over other people and thinking they're more important.
Mm. That's
In
interesting,
in
Father.
fact, in the beginning, Satan, Lucifer, wanted to exalt himself above me and above my throne. he was
Mhm.
comparing himself to me, thinking he was better, and that attitude just pervades society still.
Hmm. That's interesting. I'm just thinking that growing up, even though my father wasn't a churchgoer or a Christian, I learned more from him than my mother. I don't want to put my mother down because my mother is a good mother as well. But I learned so much more from my father who never went to church, the way he treated people. So why is that so? Is it similar to because he's never been to church? Maybe he's not indoctrinated. He wasn't really a church person.
That's exactly it. People who don't attend church don't get indoctrinated into religious thinking and religious ways.
Hmm, that's interesting.
It's just their natural personality. Your father was really kind, and he showed that kindness to everyone. I bet he showed it to poor people and rich people, and he didn't judge people, and
Hmm,
that came out to you. So many people only really do favors for people that they believe can do them a favor back. That's why
hmm,
people don't get treated well because they can't return the favor. And that's why Jesus said to invite the poor, the maimed, and the crippled to your party, people that can't pay you back. And
hmm.
society doesn't often do that. They tend to do favors for people that can do them a favor back.
Interesting. Thank you, Father. I think that's my last question. I just need to be more kind to people.
Yeah. Kindness is a fruit of the spirit. This is uh, a shorter message today, but Matthew's a big believer in not making a message longer than it needs to be, and so we could go on and talk for nonsensical stuff for another 30 minutes to make the video longer, or we can just cut it off here. And that's what we choose to do. So if you are listening to this video and you got to this place, please press like. If you listen to this and you're a regular listener, please comment. And this can be found on a playlist. God bless.